Some people don't just live life, they grip it by the throat. They chase adrenaline, build communities, break limits, and refuse to settle for normal. Tylan is one of those people. A trainer, an extreme sports athlete, a storyteller, and the co-founder of Deadman's Clique, a lifestyle movement born in Dubai that's all about high-octane living, fitness, tattoos, motorcycles, and deep brotherhood. But life threw a big challenge no one sees coming. A motorbike accident in Dubai changed everything, leaving him paralyzed from the chest down. And yet, here's the thing, that's not the end of Tylan's wild life. It just forced him to evolve it. Today, he leads from a different seat, literally. Through his movement is privilege. A project and personal mission that reminds the world if you can move, you're lucky. And if you can't, you still fight. In this episode, we talk about grit, identity, community, and how to keep living loud no matter what life throws at you. This is Tylan's story, and trust me, it's anything but a tragedy. It is a recalibration of what it means to truly live. Tylan, thank you for being here, sir.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a long time coming.
It has been a while, but we made it in the end, so...
We did.
All good.
Broken schedules.
Yeah, it's a busy
I was
life.
out of the country.
Got to earn that money sometimes. So.
Yeah, true. Okay, so let's start from the beginning, right? You grew up in Johannesburg. How was the childhood like growing up in South Africa?
I had a pretty decent childhood. Like, I'm an only child, and my dad wasn't really around, so it was just always me and my mother. I know people normally have sob stories. Oh, my dad wasn't there, and I feel sorry for me and stuff like that. But my childhood was pretty sick. I spent a lot of time at friends' houses. I was kind of like, I'd pick families that I wanted to go and stay at. So after school, if we weren't playing sport, I'd go to Gary's house or Dale's house, and I'd stay with their family. And I think that's why I'm like, I don't want to use the word extrovert, but I think that's why I charge my batteries off people. Mm-hmm. Because I was kind of passed around while my mom was working such long days to get everything that needed to be done. I was like leeching family. I would take a dad from this dude and a brother from that dude and just kind of learn a bunch of stuff. So yeah, childhood in SA was great. In the 90s and the 2000s, SA was like really different. I think, like kids from the UK, kids from America, kids from Europe, they either grew up too quickly or they were like exposed to some really, I don't want to say bad things because I know lots of great people, but like they had the metro or the underground or what, and they could, as kids, go wherever they want and do whatever they want. So they tended to get into more serious situations. Whereas with us, like, okay, we caused trouble. Like we would jump on roofs, like, we would jump from roof to roof to roof to roof and then go swim in some dude's pool down the road because we didn't have a pool, or, we'd mix like dog in a lunchbox and throw it over somebody's roof. But that's what we were doing. We weren't doing drugs and having teenage pregnancies and other weird stuff. We didn't have those problems in SA. So, yeah, my childhood was pretty sick.
Quite similar to how we grew up in India as well.
Yeah.
Same stuff.
Wholesome fun, right?
Yeah. In the gullies.
Yeah.
In the streets.
Playing soccer in the cul-de-sacs and stuff, yeah.
Cricket, mostly.
Well, yeah, India would have been cricket, yeah.
Cricket mostly, yeah. So, would you say these families that you were, going to, picking up, members from those families, were they your influences growing up? And were you always into sports and fitness in your younger years?
Well, funnily enough, when I was young, like 5 or I don't really remember, but I was diagnosed with serious asthma. And I was hospitalized for ages, as in like an oxygen tent and a bunch of stuff. And my mom was pretty worried, or she was actually concerned that I wasn't going to be able to play sport with the normal kids. So she bought me a motorbike, hoping that I'd get into motocross and like find a vent or a hobby that way. But as soon as I got to primary school and I was around all the other kids, I was like, I mean, bikes were fun, and bikes have been a part of me, but I was all about team sports, man. I just wanted to be around the kids and manage the asthma and that as best as I can. But yeah, like being active and being outside and being in the sun has always been where I wanted to be. And bikes was just a portion of that. The influences part, like I said, my dad wasn't really around, so I used to lean on other people's dads. So I remember, like, my best friend at the time, his name was Gary. And I probably spent 80% of my time at Gary's house. We used to have dinner and stuff and that until my mom would come and fetch me. And his dad was my major, like, father figure growing up. And he taught us loads of life lessons, but the thing he really drilled into us was consequences. He never once said, don't do anything naughty. He never said, you've got to behave and that. He said, do whatever you want. If I catch you, it's going to be a consequence. So, I really enjoyed that time. It was good.
That's awesome. When I look at all the things that you've done and accomplished in just one life, it is extraordinary, right? Doing just one of those things in anyone's life is a huge achievement. But what I want to know is, were you always inspired to do something extraordinary, or did you have a career outside of sports, fitness as well?
Yeah, so this is going to be a bit of a long story.
Sure.
But when I was at school, high school specifically, I excelled in both like sporting and academics. Like I was at the top of the class and that kind of stuff. And because of both of those kind of achievements, I was elected in as head boy, right, of my school. And that came with the added pressure of everyone thinking that you've got to be successful and make it in life. And those kind of things in SA were like, there was very focused career paths that people like that had to go down. So I fell into that trap and I was like, yeah, I need to make something of my life and be this huge success. So I went off to university and studied civil engineering and float my own boat, but I excelled in that as well. So I got a bunch of bursaries and sponsorships from companies to study, which meant I walked straight into a job. So I went from high school into university, into a job, and there was never any time for me to just like let loose. I was just firing the whole way through. And as soon as I left university, they sent me off to these building sites in the north of South Africa, and I was living in the bush. And I mean, it was okay. It was a job and I was learning stuff, but there was something that I just didn't like, just didn't sit well with me. So I left that and then I became a design engineer. I was still working in the engineering industry, but I was back at home designing the mines and that kind of stuff. And that also didn't sit well with me. And I was like, this. So I actually left that to go join the French Foreign Legion. Wow. Which didn't really work out for me because I'd had so many surgeries on my legs from like rugby and touch rugby and jits and stuff that they wouldn't accept me. I couldn't pass the medical because I had corrective surgery. So they kicked me out and then I went back to South Africa and I needed a job.
Me and my friend also tried.
Did you? That's a story for another day. That's wild stuff. That. Yeah, so I went back to SA and I needed a job and a friend was working in the bank at the time. And engineers historically get along really well in the banking environment because of the way that they think. She was like, why don't you come work at the bank? So I was a change manager / project manager at the bank. And it was good people, but again, something just didn't sit with me. I couldn't be in an office 9 hours every day listening to, so-and-so said something or somebody else didn't do that. I was just like, so eventually, I jumped ship from all of that and looked for something else. I knew it had to be like outside and active and involve people.
Gotcha.
I needed to be in all three. That it needed to cover all three of those bases, and that's what I found here in Dubai with the personal training and all the other stuff that I was doing before the accident.
Some of us mere mortals still do that, 9 to 5.
No, I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm not saying that like 9 to 5 consistent work is the devil. I'm just saying it's not for me.
Yeah. No,
I tried it and it was like.
No, I understand that. I understand that. Right. So coming to your passions, sir. There's something that you always love to do, right? It starts from your childhood. You pick on something that and you get attached to it. Very, like for me, it's art, and back in the day, it was taekwondo. Can't do that anymore. And then you stick to it, and it carries through your life. What are those few things? I know riding bike is one of them, right? And then combat sports was another.
Yeah.
Would you want to share more about those things?
Yeah, so actually bikes it wasn't not a big thing, but it wasn't my thing, like my passion.
Okay.
Up until I got here. I've always owned bikes, and if there was an opportunity to ride, we would go do trails or like a dirt track somewhere, do something. But bikes wasn't my thing. The biggest thing for me, I don't think it was a sport. It was more like I'm competitive. I'm probably the most competitive person you'll ever meet in your life. And the thing that I wanted to, or the thing that I was addicted to, my passion was to prove that I was, it's going to sound bad, but to prove that I was better than everybody else. Not high and mighty, righteous, I'm better than you, but like I was a small kid at school. I was slower than people, than most people at school. And lots of people would be like, oh, you'll never make the A team because you're this, or oh, you'll never do this because you're that. And I was like, okay, cool, man, watch me. Like, watch me go. And I learned that my superpower was that I could outwork anybody else. I wasn't talented. I didn't have like talent or size or skill, but I could work. And the more I worked, the luckier I got, the better I got. And I became addicted to that kind of being able to prove people wrong in a physical aspect. So that's where the sports came in. Like, oh, you'll never play first team rugby, you're too small. Cool. I played 2 years at first team and went on to play really high level there. Same with BJJ. You were talking about the combat sports. I love BJJ, but the reason I love it is because that's like size isn't a limiting factor.
Right.
You can go up against some dude that's 115 kgs. You can be 72 kgs, and you fold him in his own clothes and put him away. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like, that's how I started to base my whole identity was, yeah, okay, cool, think what you want, say what you want. I'm going to do what I want to do anyway. And I'll probably beat you doing it. So
there was something that you said about BJJ, educated violence.
Yeah.
That stuck with me.
He's like a fighting guru. His name is Richie Kwan back in South Africa. And he used to call it educated violence. And the reason they call black belt jiu-jitsu players professors is because it takes longer to get your black belt, or about the same time it takes to get your black belt as it would for you to become a professor if you were studying anything in university. And that whole like education he kind of cottoned onto, and he used to call BJJ educated violence, which is, I thought it was sick.
No, it is sick.
It's dope. Yeah.
I want to talk a bit about your memory theory.
Okay.
You put it very beautifully when you spoke about how your passion for extreme sports came about.
Sure.
And related to that theory. Would you want to elaborate on that, please?
Sure. I would have to go back a little bit in order for it to make sense. So if we go back to when I was working, 9 to 5 jobs. I remember I said there's something that just wasn't sitting well with me. Like wherever I was and whatever job when I was working on the site, it wasn't so bad because I was doing something different. It was a different project. But there's always something that wasn't like sitting with me. And especially when I was in the banks, I kind of realized like you'd feel like you'd been, it was New Year's, and then you'd feel like you'd be 3 weeks into the year, but you'd look up and it's July. And you're like, me. Like, where did 6 months go? What the hell's happened? And I don't know if I heard this saying or if I came up with it myself. I can't remember, but all of a sudden, like it was there. The saying goes, you exist in two places, right? You exist as your conscious person right now. So as we're sitting talking, you're aware that you're alive. I'm aware that I'm alive. Therefore, we exist. And the other way we exist is through memories. So this morning I did a boot camp with a group of people. I know that happened because I remembered that it happened. It lives in a memory. I remember skydiving, so therefore it happened. It exists. I existed in that moment. If I asked you what your breakfast was 2 weeks ago on Monday, if you couldn't tell me what happened, it didn't exist, right? That time doesn't exist to you. it's a nothing, it's a non-entity. So I realized that I could create myself, firstly I realized I was just losing days. I was just losing time for nothing, doing the same thing over and over and over again and never remembering what I was doing. And then I realized that I could make a long life. Everybody wants to live a long life, a happy life, full life, whatever. But I could live a long life, not by living longer than everyone else, but by remembering more than everyone else. So if I died at 30 with 10,000 memories, I'd probably have a life that was 3 times longer than somebody who lived to 78 by doing the same like boring stuff.
Yeah.
And when I cottoned on to that, I was like, okay, right, I need to get out of this job. I need to do something that I can remember and that will give me lasting memories so that when I die, like I would have had a lot of memories to live through. And that's why I started doing extreme sports. Aside from the fact that I like being outside and in nature, but I wanted something that I could really grasp and run with. And skydiving, bikes, desert, being here in Dubai, being with some, great people, traveling, all that stuff. The lifestyle here was exactly what I was looking for, and that's basically the theory.
More data in the gray matter, basically.
Yeah, just more things to stamp time on. Like if your Monday to Friday is exactly the same and you're only living for the weekends, that's 2 out of 7 days that you remember. The other 5 are gone. What's happened? Nothing. You're dead for it, basically.
You're going to make me quit my job after this, I think.
I hope so. I hope that we do quit our jobs and make loads of money doing other stuff.
That's the dream, right?
It is.
Okay. All right. So you were just speaking about Dubai, right? That's a good segue to our next question. You came to Dubai chasing a life. What drew you to Dubai and all of this?
I actually wasn't meant to end up in Dubai. So, yeah, we got to keep going backwards to go forwards, I suppose, but that's how
Absolutely.
it goes. When I quit the job at the banks and wanted to make this fantastic life, I went and did a private security course in Cape Town. And then I was like, okay, security in South Africa is not that great. I don't really want to be in South Africa anyway. It was a bit too slow and a bit too small town mentality for me. So I did the security course, and then I was going to the UK to start doing some private security work with some of the bigger companies, because my best friend Ross, he was in the Royal Marines at the time, and he had a lot of connections to these like private security companies. So I was supposed to be going to the UK, but my mom was working in Dubai at the time.
Oh.
Actually, wait, let me go back a little bit further. I came on holiday to Dubai with Ross in 2014.
Right.
And I don't even know, like when he said, let's go to Dubai, I was like, why? There's nothing out there, it's dry, this, that, the next. And that was the view that we had of Dubai and SA. And he's like, trust me, my parents live out there. Come to Dubai for 2 weeks, you won't be disappointed. And we came here, for 2 weeks, and we tore it up. We absolutely blew the roof off this place for 14 days straight. It was just like 120 k's an hour. And on that holiday, I promised myself I'd live in Dubai. Fast forward to 2017, when I was going to the UK. My mom was living here, so me and my girlfriend at the time, we flew here to spend like 2 weeks with her, and then we were going to fly to the UK. But while we were here, her visa was denied. I'd already had a visa for the UK, but her British or UK visa was denied. And we had a choice to make. We're like, well, we either go back to SA or we stay in Dubai. And after the French Foreign Legion thing, when I had to go back to South Africa with my tail between my legs and be like, I didn't make it. The competitive person in me, I told you, like, hyper competitive, I was that, I'm not doing that. If you want to go back to SA, you can go. I'm going to stay here and I'll hustle it out. I picked up some small security jobs, and then I got a job working at a gym through a friend of mine, the guy that I actually met doing the security course. He lived here, and he got me a job in one of the gyms, and the rest is history. We just snowballed from there.
Right. And what was the early phase like with all the hustle? Was it
like I remember eating a shawarma a day was my like food allowance. There was a place called Shami Gourmet that used to be under the Torch Tower in the marina, and I think they made it was a 9 dirham shawarma, chicken shawarma, and that was what I ate for the day. And I had just enough money from my salary and my clients to pay for the car and the petrol to get to work and back, to help with rent and that one shawarma and maybe a couple beer tokens every now and then if it was a Friday or Saturday. But I didn't regret a single thing. Again, it's a memory that it's something that I can remember because it was so different to me at that time. So it's time well spent.
Very intense.
Yeah, it was cool, man. It was cool.
And somewhere in there, Deadman's Clique was born.
Yeah, Deadman's Clique came a little bit later, but to understand Deadman's Clique or to understand what it means, you've got to know Ross and my and Ross's relationship with each other.
Let's talk about that.
1999, I met Ross in South Africa through our high school. So we didn't know each other, but we'd obviously both applied to the same high school. And when you get to the high school or when you get accepted by the high school, you have to nominate what your sports are going to be, what sports you're going to play, so that they know what's going on. And we had both chosen rowing. I don't know why, because we were like this tall, but we had both chosen rowing. And in order to row, you had to do a rowing camp to start. And this is in 1999, no cell phones. Our parents just dropped us off with a bunch of strangers and then left. And we were stuck on the side of a dam with random people, like these huge monsters that were walking around and these other little idiots like us. And again, being competitive, I was sitting there and I was eyeballing all the kind of people, judging them on their outward appearance, because there was no time to chat to them. So it'd be like, oh, that guy's got his shirt tucked in. I don't really want to be friends with that dude. And then there would be another guy and be like, oh, he's a little bit weird. I don't want that guy. And I saw this short guy, and he had these big fat skating shoes on. I think they were like DCs or something. I was like, hey, that guy skates. He looks like he would probably be a cool dude. And I went over to him, and it was Ross. And him and I just caused the biggest amount of trouble in those 7 days that we were together. We just caused like absolute pandemonium. And then from then it was that same flavor. We would get together, we'd cause mischief, and then we got the consequences of our actions as well. We learned, get caught, and there was trouble. But that's how our friendship kind of was formed. And then a year and a half later, his parents moved. They moved to the UK, and they dragged Ross away with him. But we managed to maintain that friendship.
Long distance, awesome.
But this is before Facebook. It's before Instagram, before WhatsApp.
What was it, awkward?
No, we were emailing each other.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Like, we were just emailing each other, being like, oh, my first kickflip, I did this, that, whatever. Or I kissed a girl the other day at the mall. And it was like, that's how we it wasn't constant communication, but there was always a steady communication.
Right.
And we maintained a friendship. And then, obviously, we did that holiday in 2014 when we came to Dubai. And then fast forward to 2020 or 2019, he phoned me up one day. I was living here. He phoned me up. He's like, I'm leaving the Royal Marines. I'm going to come live in Dubai. And I was like, holy shit. When he got here, everything just started to ramp up. I mean, I was surfing and we were surfing in combat sports and doing a bunch of stuff. And this is with Sam. When Ross came and it was the three of us, then things just went
skyrocketed.
Yeah, just shot through the roof. And we were skydiving every week. We were surfing 2 or 3 times during the week before work, boxing, riding bikes in the desert twice a month. And we also had jobs doing that, So the one day we were sitting down at the pub at the beach, and Ross was like, if a YouTuber can get 1 million views for baking a cake, for baking a cake, and his mind was blown. It's like 1 million people care about this baking a cake. Surely we could get a couple hundred people, that gave a shit about how we're living our life and what we're doing, and maybe we can inspire some people to do that. And I was like, yeah, that sounds excellent. So that's what we started to do. The only intention we had was we're going to make an Instagram page. We're going to take a couple photos, a couple videos of what we do every week, put it out there. If people give a shit, they give a shit. If they don't give a shit, we're going to do it anyway, so it doesn't matter. Nothing changes in our life. So we started doing that. And because we were doing that, we had a reason to do it more. Although we were wasting so much money doing it, and then I can't remember if the boot camp came first, or if people's the other stuff came first. But I know we started wanting to do a workout on a Saturday morning because we were in the pub every Friday night till 4 a.m. And we were trying to figure out a way to give us a reason to not go out till 4 o'clock in the morning every day. So we decided we were going to work out at 8:30 on a Saturday morning and make it a hard workout, you know? It didn't stop us from going to the pub. We were still there at 4 a.m. every morning.
I was about to ask you.
We just had no sleep.
Was the binge still happening?
Yeah, it stopped us from doing absolutely nothing. We did everything and woke up early and went to go do these boot camps. And we'd post about it, and then somebody would say, oh, hey, man, do you mind if I jump in on that workout? Yeah, cool. It was 1. Then it was 5. Then it was 7. Then it was 12. Then there was 20 people that were wanting to work out with us. And eventually we had to say, we can't do the workouts anymore, because we've got to kind of look after this thing and make sure that people don't hurt themselves and all that kind of stuff. So the boot camp was formalized that way. And then, like I said, I can't remember if it was the boot camp first or other people, but people started coming to us and saying like, oh, hey, man, I see that you skydive every week. I jump as well. Do you mind if I come jump with you? Or, oh, bro, you've got I've just bought myself a Harley. I see that you've got a bike. Do you want to go for a ride someday? And we started just picking up all these little misfits all over the place. People that even if it was just one aspect, maybe not all the aspects of DMC, but just one thing that they did that they enjoyed they wanted to do with us. And we started to grab these people. And that's when it became a lifestyle. So it was us just showing people what we could do. And it was a boot camp. And then it became a lifestyle. And now it's more than all of that. Now it's like a family, right? What's the one thing that Dubai doesn't have? Dubai's got everything.
Right.
But the one thing that Dubai doesn't have is family.
True.
Everybody's a young professional. Everybody's left their mom and dad to come here. Some people maybe have a brother or a sister or a cousin or something. But there's no family here. DMC is our family. We do DMC family Christmases. We celebrate each other's birthdays. If there's an engagement, everybody shares in that hype with you and everybody gets that thing. And then if there's a tragedy, everybody, knuckles the down and comes to your aid and, saves you in essence. DMC it's more than the lifestyle and the brand and the skydiving and the Instagram. It's all of us, 50, 60, 70 people that have formed ourselves like a little clique, a little family that operate together.
I don't even have to say the next thing that I wanted to say, and you covered everything, because I was about to say it's like a full ecosystem, right? Everyone working together to form this massive community.
It's a symbiotic relationship between people where so-and-so has a problem. I know that X, Y, and Z can solve that problem. We put those two people together. They help out. Tylan has a motorbike accident. Oh, we need this, we need this, we need this. 50 people rush to his aid. And that's how we operate. And I mean, there's loads of actually, I'm going to slag everyone off. I don't care. There's loads of running clubs.
Go for it.
There's loads of running clubs. There's loads of gyms. There's loads of movements. There's loads of brands. There's loads of people doing lots of stuff. But all of those people are doing all of that stuff for,
sure,
on a surface level, money, right? They say that they're living a certain lifestyle. They say that they're doing this. They say that they're doing. I've had personal trainers say to us, "Oh yeah, I make it look fitter than I am on Instagram so that people will buy into my system." We live the DMC life. We live whatever we preach. We don't change who we are. We're authentic to the core. Always have been, always will be. And because of that, people don't like us. A lot of people don't like us. Most people don't like us. But the people that do like us will stay with us and help us. And that's what we want.
I mean, this is off topic. There's a lot of times when you're in Dubai that you sometimes try to find authenticity, right?
It's hard, yeah, though.
It's so hard. In that search, you might find one or two people, right? It's very hard to find that authentic...
Good friends
or people who can, have good self-expression, because everyone is trying to copy the other person, right? Oh, he has this, let me also get that so that I can get what he has. What made you stick to that authentic self of yours and then, forming a community around it?
I don't know.
Because it's hard to stick to it. What happens is your circle will keep shrinking, and then you'll just have those few people that are just your vibe?
I think we've succeeded in growing our community so much because we don't care whether people come or go. We started our community with 3 of us. It was me, Sam, and Ross, and we were mates. We didn't need any other friends around. We weren't looking for other people. They found us.
Right.
And I mean, we've lost more members. We've lost more people than we've gained. But that's okay because the people we've gained add value, right? And I think that's also, I mean, every relationship is like that. If you're not adding value, then what's the point?
Absolutely.
But everybody, like, we don't care whether you like us or not. I think that's the biggest thing why we've stayed authentic. If you don't like us, that's fine. There's 1,000 other people that will listen to your shit, and we don't need to. Go there. Yeah, we're not afraid to rustle feathers, but we've always been like that. We've always just been shit talkers and mischief makers. Like,
when we started this Mann Show podcast, our guiding principle was even if that one person watches us and gets some value,
yeah,
that's all we need.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
all we need. And if we get value out of that, that's amazing.
So I think, like, going back to your Dubai thing, right? When you look for people, you find the wrong people.
Correct.
When people find you, you find the right people.
That's very rightly put. Yeah.
That's the way that I think it needs to go. And instead of chasing something, I think sometimes you just need to know who you are and keep doing what you're doing that's aligned with your values, and the right people will find you. I mean, you're not going to make millions because I'm not making millions, but you'll be happy.
Your heart will be full. That's
Yeah.
more important.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right. Let's go to that day, the accident. What happened?
Oh, man, it was a sick day. Like, there was just so much going on in our lives at the time. We were doing like a DMC fitness challenge, like a running challenge. We were part of a government games team. I say we, when I say we, is basically Ross and I.
Yeah.
And then we had scheduled a bunch of skydives that day. So it was a Sunday morning. We woke up early. We went for our 8K run because that was part of the challenge for that day. Then we went to our government games training and we had like this crazy hard session we were in some park somewhere. And Ross and I were the captains of the team. Like, we were leading from the front as we normally do. And it was hard. I've still got a photo from that day, weirdly enough. And then we finished that. I was on my bike at the time, but Ross was like, "Now come, drop your bike off at my house and then we'll drive down together. We've got a bunch of stuff to talk about." So like, okay, cool, no problem. So I followed him back to his house. I dropped the bike off. We got in the car. We went down to skydive and we did 3 jumps, I think. Yeah, 3. And we got to 99 jumps. I was on my 99th. And then we got down. We started packing the bag because we were packing our rigs to jump again. And I was like, "Are we going to do 100 or we're not going to do 100? But 100's a big thing." So I was like, "No, let's wait. We'll get all the boys together and we'll do a big jump next week. We'll come in, we'll do a big jump." Okay, fine. So we finished packing the rigs. We put them away. We drove back to his house and he dropped me off at my bike and then he left. And I got on the bike to come home. I'd phoned my girlfriend at the time. I was like, "I'm on my way home from Ross's place now. Do you want me to go past the shop, pick up anything?" She's like, no, everything's fine. I said, "I'll see you in 10 minutes. Got on the bike. Because the day had been so sick, like the day was just great. And life up until that point, like the 6 months before that, everything was just going well. I was kind of cruising. I wasn't as aware as I should have been. I wasn't riding the way I normally ride. I had like music in my headphones. I was thinking about other stuff. I was kind of just like reflecting on everything. Like, man, everything is just so easy. It's so good at the moment. I don't know why people complain so much. And then, I had the accident. I won't go too much into detail, but basically what happened was a delivery rider had cut across one of the lanes on the 311 just before Sports City to kind of like save 2 minutes of his journey. And I didn't see him because I was focusing on what was behind me. Because I wasn't riding fast, because I wasn't riding loud, because I wasn't paying attention, and I was kind of looking at this mirror, making sure that no car was cut. Because you know what drivers are like. They'll race up and cut.
Yeah.
So I was focusing there. And then as soon as I looked into my lane, this dude was like bang in the middle of my lane, and he was looking at me like. Hit him in the back. I went over the top. I remember I hit the ground like front right-hand side of my helmet hit first. So I landed on my head and then my shoulder. And I kind of slid for a while. And it was like really loud in my helmet. And then all of a sudden, I kind of jolted and the visor of my helmet ripped off. And then it was super, super loud. And I was still sliding for ages. And I stopped sliding. It went quiet. And I was like, oh, fuck, I'm still in the road. I need to get out. So I tried to pick myself up. And as soon as I tried to pick myself up, I realized that there was an issue. I just felt heavy, like heavy. And my legs weren't doing anything. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, bro, you're in the road, get out. So I just got onto my arms and I just started dragging myself to the side of the road. I didn't even realize that my arm was broken. Just pulling. Some guy ran over to me and he kind of like, because I still had my helmet on and my face was like into the gravel, he kind of put his head on the tarmac and he's like, yo, dude, you've been in a mad accident. Just kind of chill out. And when he said that, I put my head down on the concrete and I could hear my Apple Watch going off like, you've been in an accident, do you want us to call someone? And I didn't have the energy to switch that off, so I just let it do its thing. And it turns out that phoned the police and the emergency services for me, my watch. And then I passed out. Apparently, Lydia, my girlfriend, had actually phoned me because the watch sent her a message to say I was in an accident. Apparently, she phoned me and she came through in the headphones and I told her that I'd been in an accident and that I wasn't doing so well or whatever, but I don't really remember that part. And then I lose consciousness. I wake up again. I'm still on the road, but now the paramedics have cut my clothes off. So I don't know. I don't remember if I was like full out on the highway. I don't really. But I know that they cut everything off and then they put me into the ambulance. And then there was like, there's internal bleeding, he's abdominal breathing. I had all these wires and EKG and AED and everything was stuck on me and I was just like, yeah, okay, I'm probably gonna die here. Chilled. And then I passed out again and I woke up in the emergency room, but then all my mates were there. Like, I can't remember if Lydia was there already. Lydia and her brother, some other people, Sam was there, then Ross was there. Next thing I knew, everybody was in the room. Like there must have been 12 of us. And we're joking and laughing and stuff. And, they kept shipping me off to go do scans and that. But yeah, it didn't really like sink in. Nothing really sunk in. The surgeon came over and he was like, yeah, 0.01% chance you're ever going to walk again, buddy. And I was like, you don't know anything, whatever. And then that's the last memory I have until the Wednesday morning. So that was Sunday night. And I remember nothing until Wednesday, like after breakfast. After I'd had my back surgery, they had fixed my arm, they had sewed my foot together because my foot was in an absolute state. It looked like a bowl of punched bolognese, just like pieces everywhere. But yeah, then I was in ICU for 7 days and then in hospital for 5 weeks and then to rehab. So that phone call that I gave Lydia and said, I'll be home in 10 minutes, it took me 5 months to get home from that one thing.
I remember you saying that, and when you sent me that script, right, I was like, oh my Lord.
I mean, yeah, it is what it is. If you ride a bike, you've got to take that risk.
Right. So there's a line that you said that stuck with me. I'm too stubborn to quit, right? But I also know that the dark days come as well. What were those first few weeks like, or what are those dark days like even now? I'm sure you must be going through that.
Yeah. I don't think, like, the first 4 or 5 weeks, I didn't actually have dark days. I was in so much, like I was in denial. Or my ego wouldn't let me believe that I could be hurt that bad. And I was on so many different painkillers that I probably wasn't like conscious for half of the time anyway. But also I had people come through my room. I must have had 20, 25 people in my hospital room every day. People just coming in to tell me about their stories from the outside world because I couldn't get out into the sun. I couldn't take a shower. I couldn't do anything. But for the first 5 weeks, it was easy because it hadn't set in. I was like, I'm going to beat this. I beat everything else. This will be easy. I used to say that. Ross would come to me, but I'll never forget. Ross said to me, bro, you're in a fight now. Like, you're in a real fight now. And I looked at him. I kind of like snarled at him. I was like, bro, I'm going to make this look easy. watch. It hasn't been that easy, but that's where my mind was at the time. So I wasn't dark for the first 4 weeks or first 5 weeks. I was like, any moment now this is going to switch back on and I'm going to go straight back to life where it was. And then I went to rehab, and that's when it got dark. When I went to the rehab place in Abu Dhabi, and there was nobody coming to my hospital room anymore. And they actually made me move around. And I realized I've got to pick my legs up and throw them off the side of the bed, flip my body onto a chair. I can't balance, I've got no... When all of those things, that's when it came in. When I started learning about all of the things that I'd lost, that was the hardest part. How I cope with those, I don't even know. Like, it depends on the day. If I've got something to look forward to, then I try to shut out the noise. Sometimes I just try to get to the next day, Yeah, I don't know. That's a kind of hard question to answer, because it all just depends on what's going on at the time. If I'm sick, then, I don't know. It's hard. It's not to say that I've never thought about right? Well, I have thought about and I've also wished that I died in the accident, but I will never take my own life. I won't quit on myself like that. That's why I'm saying I'm too stubborn to quit. So, yeah, a lot of the time getting past the bad day is just to say, today is go to sleep, tomorrow you'll make it, you'll have a better day. But other times you got to lean on people and be like, I'm lucky that I've got some very hard friends, and if they don't hear from me in 2 or 3 days, they'll phone me up and say, hey bro, listen, you've been a now for 3 days. We've given you your space. We're coming to your house, we're going to kick the door in, and you're coming out with us, and you don't actually have an option. And just that kind of restart is enough to kick it through. But I need to be around people most of the time. That's how I reset. And I don't know. I don't really have an answer for that one, to be honest.
No, that's answer
depends
enough.
on the flavor. Yeah.
Absolutely, that's answer enough, man. Talking about recovery, what is recovery like when there's a spinal cord injury involved?
Like, when you break a bone or you tear a muscle or whatever, there's a linear recovery. This is injury, this is fully recovered, and it's linear. Tomorrow you can do something that you couldn't do today. It's incremental. You can work, and you've got a target. And you've also got a timeline, right? Broken bone, 6 to 8 weeks, you're good to go. Muscle, I don't know, whatever it is. With a spinal cord injury, it's not like that. The problem is very simple. My brain doesn't speak to my body. That's the problem. Very, very simple problem. The solution is not simple, because there's such little, or there's not enough research or whatever known about the grey matter and the nerves and the this and the that, and the fact that spinal cord doesn't have, after a certain amount of time, it doesn't really regenerate and all this other. But it also means that the recovery does this, and sometimes it's completely horizontal, which means you're never making progress. But the worst part about it is that there isn't a time frame. If they said to me when the accident happened, listen, bro, you're going to be paralyzed for 7 years, and then after that you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It would,
but
it wouldn't as much as it's now.
Right.
Do you know? The never-ending of the whole story of just, am I going to be like this until the day I die? That is the biggest problem with it.
The not knowing.
Yeah, but to answer your question, the recovery is slow and hard, and it's like, it depends on which school of thought you go to. Some people say, you've got to work really hard and you've got to push, and there's other people that say you've got to train the brain to reconnect with the body. So you actually shouldn't be working so hard, but working more consistent. There's some people that say, why are you even bothering? Because it's not going to happen. Like, you're a complete injury. That's it. You're done. Why don't you just get comfortable with the life that you're in? It's tough. It's a mentally tough game.
This is, again, separate from what we've written. There is that traditional way that medicine looks at this, but then there are alternative medicine and alternative thoughts out there as well. Have you explored those options?
I've explored everything that you could possibly think of. I was doing like hypno, this and that, and the next thing, and I was doing a bunch of stuff. The problem for me is that I'm a logical brain person, right?
Okay.
You know, I come from engineering,
Right.
logic-based reasoning and stuff. So I find it's not that I find it hard to believe. I would still do it. But I think those kind of recoveries require a certain amount of belief in the end result anyway.
Right.
You know? And I don't think I'd be doing it justice by going to something like that, because I would already be sitting there thinking, I don't really think this is going to work.
Right.
You know, not to say that it doesn't work. I just don't think I would make it work for me.
Got you.
But I've tried a bunch of stuff, and I would try anything. Like I'll try anything once.
Because our common acquaintance Lottie did share that you were trying to, I think she mentioned Thailand or something.
Yeah, I've got an implant in my back.
Oh, okay.
I've got a computer chip that's been inserted into my back that it wraps around my spine.
Right.
And then that computer will send signals down my spine to my legs.
Got you.
It's just not functional and it's not voluntary. So I can't use it to stand. I can't use it to walk. But at the moment, I can use it to keep muscle mass on my legs. So I'm using it to like maintain muscle mass and to keep the muscles healthy and alive.
Got you.
As much as I can.
Right.
So like I said, I'm open to anything. I'm looking into peptides now. Mm-hmm. There's another treatment that's going to, clinical trial that's starting in Australia. And unfortunately, I can't get on the trial because I'm not an Australian resident. But I will be keeping a very close eye on that, because people are saying that that is probably the closest that we've come to a spinal cord cure.
Is it relating to stem cells or?
It's not stem cells. I don't want to poo-poo on stem cells.
Whatever you like, man.
When I had my accident, I went to my neurosurgeon and I was like, man, stem cells are the key. Mm-hmm. Like, what's going to happen? And he said, don't even waste your money with that. Anybody who's telling you that there's enough research to say that stem cells will work is probably trying to sell you a stem cell.
And you hear about stem cells so much on podcasts. It started with Joe Rogan, right?
Stem cells work for everything else, but not for the spine. Or there's not enough, can't say it doesn't work. There's not enough research or proof to say that stem cells do anything for the spine. It's proven that stem cells help ligaments, bone, all that other stuff, a million other things.
Got you.
But for the spinal cord, there is not enough research and there's not enough proof to say that it works.
Understood.
So I'm looking at peptides more.
Okay.
I think peptides will be my solution for now until that Australian clinical trial comes out, and just good old-fashioned hope, man.
Mm-hmm. No, of course. And we're with you, man. So now that we're talking about all of this, let's talk a bit about movement itself, right?
Yeah.
You were a man of movement, of sport. How has that shifted?
So my whole identity was based around movement, right? My occupation as a personal trainer required me to move. All my hobbies, anything that I got enjoyment from, required me to move. So when I lost the ability to move, I've found that I've lost large chunks of myself. I don't have anything really that brings me joy anymore. Aside from, I used to go to the pub and have a couple hundred beers with my friends. Mm-hmm. And I can't even do that anymore because I'm trying to focus on my recovery. So that's another thing that I've lost.
Right.
So there's a huge identity crisis that goes around with what's happened to me and my situation. And you find ways to work around it, and you find ways to justify whatever. Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible losing yourself.
But from that feeling came movement as privilege, right? From that feeling of not being able to move anymore, that inspired this movement. What does that phrase mean to you? Movement is privilege.
I think the phrase speaks for itself, right? Movement in itself is a privilege, something that people have, a lot of people have from birth, and something that they don't really think about at all, ever. And when I say to somebody now, movement is privilege, their minds go to the big movements, the big things. Mm-hmm. Running a marathon, jumping out of an airplane, surfing big waves, riding motorbikes, boxing, fight, the big things. That's where their mind goes to. But for me, when I think movement is privilege, it's nowhere even close to that. For me, the privilege would be having a conversation eye level with somebody, right? Making a cup of coffee and being able to carry it outside, sit on the balcony in the fresh air and enjoy that. I can't move and hold things at the same time. Enjoying a shower. Getting into my friend's car so that we can go somewhere, not having to be reliant on taxis and do other stuff. Like those things, the privilege that people don't understand that they have. The marathons are nice to have. Being able to run are nice to have. But going to a brunch and having to be carried up 4 flights of stairs because, it's not accessible, and there's 60 people that don't see a guy in a wheelchair in Dubai often. Now you've got to be carried in front and paraded around all of these kind of people. That's the privilege that I associate with that. Our page is aimed towards the bigger things, like celebrating people running Ironman and doing all that kind of stuff. But the term movement is privilege is not the big stuff. It's the little things that you never, ever, ever think about.
And you spoke about accessibility. Do you think Dubai as a city is fairly accessible or not?
I think Dubai is accessible. I think the POD taxis they have, the wheelchair taxis they have are great. And I would be absolutely stuffed if they weren't around. And most places will have a ramp. Most hotels will have a bathroom facility. The problem is what degree of accessibility is there?
Got you.
So you phone someone up and they say, hey, I'm in a wheelchair, are you accessible? Yeah, so we've got a ramp outside, no problem. The ramp is this steep. So I can't do it on my own. I still require someone to pick me up or push me up. But that's where it stops. So all you have to do is say, are you accessible? Or all you have to do to say that you are accessible is to have a ramp outside. You don't have to have special bathroom facilities. This is another thing people don't think about. So I obviously don't have any bladder or bowel control because of my condition. So if I need to go to the bathroom, there's a certain set of circumstances that I require in order to do that. It's not just a public bathroom with 4 stalls. I need a space to be able to maneuver. Some people need to get onto the toilet themselves physically. Others don't. But people don't understand that. And then, I'll go to a brunch and people say, yeah, this is accessible, no problems. And then you get there, there's 2 steps to get into the bathroom. They've got a POD bathroom, but there's 2 steps to get in. And then they've used it as a storage cupboard. So there's brooms and a step ladder, and the bathrooms are at the end of the room, and you've got to try and shuffle your way through all of the stuff, or bring a friend into the bathroom with you to help move all the things. It's not. Dubai is accessible, and I think they're moving into the right direction. They're moving to the right places.
Got you.
But it's still a struggle.
Right.
There's just not enough people in wheelchairs for it to make a difference.
With limited movement, right? How do you keep yourself physically active and, of course, mentally as well?
If you'd asked me kind of 3 weeks ago, I would have told you that I'm doing a lot of ski erg work and work in the gym. But I'm not. I've recently made a change to my recovery schedule. So I've been talking to this other guy who's also in a wheelchair, and he's given me a different approach. I'm not to say that it's going to work or it's not going to work, but I've been trying everything else and it's not working, so I might as well try this. So I've basically dialed back all of my heavy exertion. I'm not lifting weights anymore. I'm not doing the ski erg stuff anymore. I'm focusing on controlled movements to reattach my brain to my body, right? To try and push those signals through the spinal cord and generate neuroplasticity and all these fancy words that everybody uses. So that's what I'm doing now to stay active, and I'm trying to focus more on the little wins of what over the broad period of where I started and where I am. What can I do now that I can't do? That's what keeps me from going absolutely crazy. Mentally, I put a lot of my energy into MIP, movement is privilege. I put a lot of my effort into DMC, but mostly I'm hunting down a cure, right? So I'm on the internet, I'm finding clinical trials, I'm finding examples of people that started walking 7 years after the accident, which is unheard of. I'm just trying to cotton on to anything that will keep me going another day or another week, another month, another whatever. That's basically it.
And MIP, where do you see it going? What do you want it to become? Is there a vision to it, or
There is, there definitely is, but it didn't start out at that. The MIP started out very similar to DMC, where I just wanted a place that I could dump a bunch of stuff that had happened. So I was doing a lot of journaling, I was taking a lot of photos and videos and stuff, and very similar to their whole conscious memory debate. If you don't know if you don't remember where you started, it's very hard to measure yourself up against that.
Right.
So like I'm using MIP as a platform that I can store a bunch of my stuff, like what's happened to me in that, and maybe tell a little bit of a story and maybe get people a little bit more grateful for what they have. But it's starting to evolve as these things do. It's starting to evolve into like we're working on a one-of-a-kind event that we want to do next year. To my knowledge, it's probably the only one of its kind in the world. We're going through that kind of stuff. And then, like try and get the message out to people. It's not, MIP is not for disabled people. It's not for people that have a challenge or, like amputees and stuff. MIP is for everyone. If you've got an excuse that's stopping you from moving, then you've also lost that privilege. Do you know what I mean? Oh, I can't run my knees sore. Okay, fine, but there's something else to do. Do whatever.
Right. And a lot of times it's all here.
Yeah.
You get into, talking about people who can move, you get into that, state of, oh, this is not working out for me. There's very less gratitude on a day-to-day basis, right? And you are sitting on that couch for thinking those thoughts for hours.
You justify why you could do it. I've had the hardest day at work today. I'm not going to go for a run.
Yeah.
Oh, I just had a fight with my boyfriend. I'm going to eat a packet of chips, a tub of ice cream, and I'm going to watch TV, and I'm not going to do any exercise. Cool.
That spiral is the craziest. And to get out of that...
Just justifying it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wait until you take it away for 2.5 years, and then let's see.
I know.
You know what I mean? It
Right.
frustrates me, that makes me angry.
Yeah.
So, going back to the movement is privilege thing, and we were talking about people think about, the movements being these big things, Ironmans and running. I have privileges that people don't have as well, right? I know people that are high T or C spine. They can't brush their teeth. They can't answer their phones. They don't have 1 ounce of privacy in their life. Somebody is reading their messages for them. Someone's replying to their messages for them. Someone's changing them every day. And it doesn't make them any less of a human, but they've got less privileges than even I have.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll make the excuse about why I can't do something, and then I've got to catch myself. We all do it. It's a part of being human. But I suppose I've just seen behind the curtain a little bit more. I've got friends that 24 hours a day, there's got to be 2 people in the room with them.
Gratitude is a huge thing.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's massive. So, Tylan, do you feel free in any form? Do you feel freedom now?
No. I don't think that... I think when I get a car and I'm able to convert it, I think there'll be a little bit of a larger sense of freedom. But there's things that I'm boxed in by. I need to, I can never be spontaneous. I need to make sure, how long am I going to be out of the house for? Do I have enough catheters for that? Currently with taxis, I can only go to one place in a day, because if I'm reliant on taxis and they don't come, I can't do 2 or 3 meetings, or I can't go see 2 or 3 friends in a day. I can only go to one place and then go back home. I wouldn't say freedom, and I wouldn't say that this is depressing, but I wouldn't say that there's anything that brings me joy anymore. So I'm very lucky that my friends care about me, and they actively put in effort to come and see me and make sure that I'm doing okay. And they'll sit with me and talk. When you were having a bad day, and I know physically active people will do this. When you're having a bad day, they go for a run. And that helps their mental side, right? I can't do that. I can't go to the gym, and even if I did go to the gym and lift weights, it's nothing even remotely close to what it was like before. And then that frustrates me more. So then I snowball even worse into that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't really feel like I'm free or that I have any joy, but I do have a purpose, and that's the difference. Like my goal is to get better. I'll either get better or I'll run out of time. Like I'll die. But there's no way that I'm going to give up on getting better.
That's a competitive spirit.
Yeah, that's the purpose, right?
Yeah.
That's my purpose now.
Would you call that being your legacy now? That is what you want to...
I don't know. So if you think from a legacy standpoint, a tangible legacy, I'd like to make adrenaline sports in Dubai accessible. So I'd like to be able to make Skydive Dubai capable. I don't know if they are or not. I haven't asked them. When the season opens, we're going to try and do my 100th jump, I think. But I'd like to make Skydive Dubai accessible to jump people. I'd like Ski Dubai to have sit skis in there so that people can do that. We're actually going surfing tomorrow morning. Like, we're going to do some wake surfing behind the boat. So we've started that. As a tangible legacy, that's what I want to leave behind. But like from an emotional, I don't know. I'd like to believe that I want to make positive roads to helping other people get out of this situation. Like, I want to lead the charge, be in the front of trying to find a cure or fixing people. And I think I'm capable of doing it. We'll find a way somehow.
No, you will.
We'll find a way.
You will.
Even if I'm not the first person, I'll be among the first.
You have that spirit, Tylan.
For sure.
I think you will. I think. All right. Any last closing thoughts before we wrap up?
Yeah, I don't know. I've said this to people before, but like, don't. It's a very DMC kind of lifestyle, but don't settle for stuff for now. Like, oh yeah, this is good enough for now, and I'll fix it later, because you never know what's going to happen. Like, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow or another day. Don't settle for stuff. Turn the volume up on your life a little bit. Don't give a if people like you or not. Cause a ruckus. Have fun. Like, yeah, maybe this is a better one. Don't take yourself so seriously. I think that's what Dubai's biggest problem is. Like, Dubai has a tendency to make people elevate their own status. Or, I'm a real estate agent. Like, oh, I need to be going to this place and driving this car and wearing these clothes. Okay, bro. Cool. Whatever. Or, I work with so-and-so, so you've got to give a damn about what I think. I don't care about what you think, purely because you work with so-and-so. Just be yourself. Don't take yourself so seriously. Laugh a little bit. Have some fun. We're all going to die anyway.
Everyone is a walking, talking resume.
Yeah, well, I don't think everywhere, but I think in certain parts of Dubai, that is a lot of what happens. People think
I agree
that they're such big deals, but they're a cog in a machine.
Agreed. And what happens tomorrow if you lose your job? You go back.
Yeah, what happens if you run over tomorrow and then you lose your job and your house and everything else? Who are you then?
True.
You're a guy with no mates because you pissed everyone else off because you think that you're so self-important. Like, have some fun.
So this is, again, off topic. What is the first song that comes to your mind right now?
I don't know. I'm not so good with songs. I just listen to
Music, anything.
I listen to a lot of D&B stuff, so I've got noises in my head, but I don't really have a song in my head, you know what I mean?
Okay.
No, I don't know.
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? It's either Bad Boys 2.
Yes.
It's either Bad Boys 2 or A Knight's Tale. With, what was his name? Mm-hmm. Heath Ledger. Mm-hmm. Or Warrior. The Warrior.
With the brothers,
yeah,
right?
The MMA, yeah.
Yes.
One of those three.
Thank you, Tylan. This was amazing. I
hope
hope you enjoyed.
Yeah. I'll talk for the A-team.
Life is unfair and hard, but you accept where you are and you keep going. This might be the simplest, hardest truth we've heard on this show. This wasn't about tragedy. This was about transformation, about brotherhood, mental battles, and chasing meaning when your body says no. Tylan's story reminds us of something real. Movement is privilege. And so is resilience, so is friendship, so is life. If you're listening right now and feel stuck, Maybe you can't run, can't move, can't see a way forward. Remember Tylan. And remember that hope isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just stubborn enough to stay. Thanks for tuning in to the Mann Show. Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a comment. We read every single one. And remember, stay curious, stay kind, and never take movement for granted.